Reciprocity is not only about what you're getting, it's about what you're willing to give and where you're being fed consistently without begging for it or doing any antics. Hey there, welcome back to the Humaning Well podcast. This is Amber Cabral. Thank you for joining me today. I know last week's episode was hella chaotic, and for you, these episodes are a week apart. I'm actually only really shooting about 4 days apart this time. So I am better working through things, but I went back and played the episode and I was like, there's still some value here. So hopefully even through my really complex humaning, you got some nuggets, and hopefully today you get some as well. So today I want to talk about something that I feel like sits at the center of every healthy relationship, every healthy friendship, every team, every community, and that is reciprocity. Not love, not vibes, not chemistry, reciprocity. I know some of you have Lauryn Hill playing in your head when I say that word. I know at least I do. Anyway, to me, reciprocity is that very real, very practical exchange of care, effort, support, consideration that lets you feel like I am not the only one that has to hold this. And I've been thinking a lot about this lately because obviously I'm navigating a very transitional period in my life, and y'all get to go on that journey with me. But also, if I'm honest, I am a giver by nature. I do it in a way that sometimes I don't even realize how much I'm giving. I show up, I check in, I tend to remember the details, I send recommendations, I connect people, I support people's work, I pull up when I can, I send love when I can. I am a lot of people's first phone call for, hey, I just need an ear, to I need advice or direction, to please help me, it is all falling apart. And I realize that the people I have the healthiest connection with, those people, they are givers as well, meaning that I can lean on them in a lot of those ways. I've noticed this over the years. I really notice it right now. When you are a giving person, people start to assume that you don't need anything. I get this oh, she's strong, she's good, she has it, she always has it, everything's fine. And I do often have it, and it is often fine. But here's the truth. Everyone needs, me too. And everyone deserves to be poured into. And more importantly, I think it's important to realize that being capable does not mean that you don't need. It doesn't mean that I am completely self-sustaining. I still need, and I still get to need. And giving without ever getting anything back, it's not real generosity. I am actually just depleting myself. And so I am learning the hard way not to continue pouring in some spaces. But this journey has me thinking a lot about reciprocity. Humaning well is a framework, resilience framework specifically. And resilience is not just about getting back up when life knocks you down. It's also about having the kinds of people and systems and support around you that help you to stand all the time. And that to me is where reciprocity comes in. Now, I do want to add, reciprocity isn't about keeping score. It's more so about trying to have healthy balance and connections. And I'm also very careful about that word balance, because what in life is ever balance? But just think of it as having something to lean on, right? It's the rhythm of I got you, you got me. And even if that doesn't look exactly the same on both sides, we are there for each other. So it's not oh, I took you to dinner 3 times, now you owe me 3 dinners. It's more if your tank is low, I notice and I try to pour into that. And when my tank is low, you notice and you try to pour into that. And neither of us are comfortable just taking indefinitely. When I think about humaning well, and when I talk about it, part of that is also learning how to be in community, how to exist in connections that nourish both sides, or all sides, because community isn't just 2 people. It's networks of folks, right? And, we're looking for a rhythm, the kind of rhythm that comes from knowing that if I pour into this, environment, I will be able to get what I needed. It will help to sustain me when I need that. And I get the benefit of being able to help sustain others. And it may not look the same. It may not be the exact same thing. It might not be at the same time, but it's there. And I think knowing how to do this is important to how we create better community with one another, especially as we're handling government shutdown and, just weird times, like all of 2025, basically. I also think about how often people who are dependable or thoughtful or generous end up surrounded by folks who just, and I've kind of highlighted this, like, just assume that they're fine, like you're okay. You might be that person, the so-called strong one, the helper, the organized friend, the one people call when they're in crisis. Like, I kind of open with this like list of things. And if that's you, and if you're honest, you know what it feels like, to be burned out from it. And that happens when you realize that no one's checking your tank. At least that's how it's happened for me. It's like, I get to this point where I'm like, no one's checking on me, and no one thinks they need to. And people might even actually say that to me at times. And so I want to say this plainly. If you are that person, and it's a thing I've been telling myself, your strength does not erase your need for care. You still deserve to be cared about. You still need to be cared about. It is normal to desire care. Your strength doesn't erase that. It never has. It never will. You still need it and deserve it. And when you are the one that's always organizing and doing and, all of that, it's also normal for you to kind of run low on fuel, right? And for me, that's looked like me feeling unseen or not considered, or I've talked about this in another episode, people really loving how I love them, or even loving what I do more than they actually love me. And the trick with this is that sometimes people just don't even realize it until you just stop giving. Like, they just don't even see the imbalance. Sometimes the only way folks realize how much value you bring is when you finally just like pull your energy back. And we, folks like me don't always want to do that. But like when you stop initiating, stop planning, stop reminding, stop filling in the gaps, suddenly people look around and realize, oh my gosh, I have all these gaps. Like, where is Amber? Okay. And I just want to say that that's why reciprocity matters. That like, it can't always be one person or one group of people that keeps things working. It can't be one person that keeps a connection sustainable. And some of us have even experienced this in our workplaces, right? Because ultimately, relationships in all forms cannot survive long-term on one person's effort. Not friendships, not romantic partnerships, not team dynamics, not workplace interactions, not family systems. None of it works like that. One person can hold things for a while when necessary, but eventually there's going to be resentment. There's going to be burnout. There's going to be disconnection. There's going to be frustration. There's going to be like I don't know how to fix this that ends everything. This is people, but it's also the systems too. We can't rely on just one. Okay. Workplaces, organizations, group chats, communities, they all function better when there's some kind of fair, healthy exchange, dynamic system happening. And that isn't necessarily perfect, but like it's designed with some degree of awareness so that one person or one group isn't always worn out. And so if you are the person at work that's always picking up the extra projects, that's always mentoring the new people, that's always running the fun committee and celebrating everybody's birthday, or always agreeable and always a person that stays late, and the system isn't really pouring back into you, whether that's in the form of like income, which is not enough, by the way, or support or recognition or opportunity or something, that too is an absence of reciprocity. So I'm noticing this in all aspects of my own life and in the aspects of other folks' lives that I coach. If you are the backbone friend who everyone calls when they need to vent or dump, but you're not necessarily getting that back, or when you feel like you need something, or you're grieving, as I have been grieving, or you're moving homes, or just exhausted, like whatever. Like if that not getting anything is an absence of reciprocity. If you are in a romantic relationship where you hold the finances, the emotional labor, the calendar, the logistics, repair that has to happen after any conflict, the responsible communication, that too is an absence of reciprocity. And I want to be clear, I'm going to give you some tips, and I'm not trying to tell you to punish people, but I do think we need to notice where we are in these dynamics. And by the way, some of you may be listening and coming to the realization that you are the consumer. You are the person that is the recipient of so many folks' generosity. I'm just going to share what's happening and what I'm learning to put into practice in my own life. And I mean learning to put in practice, meaning I am still on this journey, as I am with many of these episodes that I share with you. But I am now at the place where when I realize a relationship is one-sided, I don't immediately go cutting people off. That's not my way. I think it's unhealthy. Where appropriate, I try to start a discussion first. Now, what I used to do is just cut people off, or just disconnect, or just get really angry. and shift the energy. And my energy is powerful, so people would pick that up. And that just isn't the way to do it. So now I try to have a conversation. Hey, our interactions feel a little one-sided, and I'm just wondering how we can have a bit more balance. If that discussion doesn't change much, then I start recalibrating. Still no cutoff, recalibrate. I reduce access. I stop automatically saying yes or picking up the tab when we go to dinner. I extend less invites. I invite you a lot less to my personal spaces like my home. I deprioritize responding to you. Like, all of us now in 2025 have hundreds of text messages that go unread. You'll be a part of that group. And I'll get to it when I get to it. And, I am at the place where I'm learning to match the effort that I get and let that dictate the direction of the relationship or friendship or whatever it is. And sometimes, to be fair, I know that sometimes people are not reciprocating for a good reason, right? Sometimes people are grieving, or they have a lot going on, or they are navigating, something very complex. And I believe that humaning well makes space for reciprocity to ebb and flow, meaning there are going to be times where I may show up more, and also it's my natural style. And there are going to be times where others may show up more because the need is greater. Other times reciprocity isn't happening because you've trained someone to not reciprocate. And I am to a degree guilty of this. Now, I'm saying to a degree because I'm open to the possibility that, human behavior, right? We learn by repetition, and I have accidentally taught people I don't need help because I don't often need help. And so people end up saying to me all the time that I make things look easy, or I have rescued or overfunctioned or smoothed everything out, and things are going so well that sometimes people think that I have never had to consider what it would look like for me to need support. And I will be honest with you. Even when that is the case, the approach is the same. I try to ask questions like, can you share why you haven't offered to help? Can you, share with me, if it's crossed your mind to support, and, is there a way that I should ask for that? This reminds me, when my father passed away and I had to go clean his home, my sister also lived in Seattle where my dad lived. We have different fathers, though. This is not her dad. And she didn't offer. She knew I was there. She knew I made it. She knew my dad passed away, but she did not offer to come help me clean out his home. And so after the first day of doing this wildly insane thing that we have to do when someone, leaves this physical planet, I realized I was frustrated that she hadn't offered. And so I just asked her, why haven't you offered to help? Is there something that suggests that I don't need it? Or is there a way that I should ask you? Or can you just give me some insight? And she was honest and was like, you've always taken care of everything for me. I just really wasn't sure how to ask you if you needed help and not seem like I was offending you. Now, for perspective, I raised my sister. So for a lot of her life, I have been her parent. So she can sometimes see me that way. But it was still a good lesson for me that sometimes people need a nudge. I have found that asking has been a great way for people who really want to show up but have reservations for some reason to get over that and make some decisions about how to best show up. So for some people, I guess my point is that the lack of reciprocity is not malice. It could just be habit. For others, though, it is absolutely selfishness. And either way, I think your job is to notice it, query it, and if necessary, make adjustments. Now, if you're listening to this and realizing, ooh, I might be overgiving. And listen, it is sometimes a hard thing to realize it. If you were thinking at the top of this episode, ooh, I might be overgiving, you're probably not. If you're listening to this and it's just hitting you in the chest right now, you probably are. Because I think overgivers don't notice. I know I don't notice. But I want to offer you a few questions to consider. These are my journal prompts, for this topic this week, and are helping me to sort out this reciprocity thing as I am also trying to teach you. Who in my life consistently pours into me without me having to ask? Who have I been overgiving to? And what am I hoping it will earn me? Because I'm going to tell you, somewhere in there, you want something back. How can I start communicating my needs without apologizing for them? I am not an over apologizer, but when I need something, I can be so apologetic. And I am working on that. So that's why I'm asking, how can I do that without apologizing? Where can I create space? And by space, I mean literally time and energy for people who know how to give back. How do I do that so that I get more of that in my life? This is also a good moment as you're contemplating these questions to be honest with yourself. Are there places where you have not allowed people to show up for you? Are you saying I'm fine when you really are not? Is there a possibility that you are not even giving people an opportunity to reciprocate because you're not even letting them know what's going on? I actually have a very dear friend that I haven't talked to in a long time because he won't let me help him, right? So sometimes practicing reciprocity is letting yourself receive without fighting it or feeling guilty or, making it difficult for people. I am also a person who is guilty of that. And I'm also going to add something a little uncomfortable. Some of you are in relationships, friendships, romantic, even work relationships, where the absence of reciprocity is not an accident. It is the literal design. You are there to give. They are there to take. They have shown you that over and over again. There is no reciprocity. And yet you stay. You stay hoping that maybe one more giving will prove your worth and maybe make them show up for you, or that if you just can win them over with the right thing, you stay. Okay, you stay hoping that this person is going to eventually return. And I just want to say that's not reciprocity. What that really is self-abandonment. It is self-abandonment, and it is dressed up as loyalty. Humaning well is asking you to make a different choice, to let the people who consistently take without giving have less access to you. It is asking you to stop auditioning for care in places that have shown you that it cannot provide it. I am talking to myself right now, okay? Stop putting yourself in the position to get something that ain't coming, okay? Because I think the really beautiful part about this is that as I am starting to honor my own energy, the relationships that are truly reciprocal are really showing up. They feel a lot easier. They feel safe. They feel mutual. They feel healthy. So you don't have to beg. You don't have to hint. You don't have to explain why you matter. You don't have to convince somebody that they should be treating you a certain way. You are met with what the need is, right? At the place of the need. So as you think about reciprocity in your own life, I'd like you to maybe notice a few things this week. And these are things that I have also been trying to notice. Notice who reaches out when they don't need anything. I'm going to say that again. Notice who reaches out when they don't need anything. Notice who remembers details that you haven't repeated. Notice who offers help before it becomes an emergency. Notice who offers help when you don't even know you need it. Notice who celebrates you when there is nothing in it for them. Notice who has good, healthy words for you when you really need to hear them. I'm trying not to tear up because I needed all of these things and I have gotten them in the last 4 days. And I also think that you have to take the time to notice where you can be more reciprocal too. Are you so used to being the strong one that you forget to check on your other strong friends? Are you receiving support from someone and never asking if they are okay? Are you expecting reciprocity from people you are not actually reciprocating with? Because the part that no one wants to admit is that sometimes we are the one-sided friend in someone else's story too. I've had to face some of that. And so reciprocity is not only about what you're getting, it's about what you're willing to give and where you're being fed consistently without begging for it or doing any antics. And I'm learning to pay attention to who refills me, not because I gave them something, but because they care. Because I think that what reciprocity should feel like for me is ease and flow and mutual nourishment, like breathing. Not like holding on and hoping someone notices, which I have done a lot. At the end of the day, I do also think that reciprocity is how we build belonging. It's the quiet proof that we're held, that we're needed, that we're supported. And so instead of scrolling for the next post on your socials about cutting people off because you're mad someone's not doing for you, and also, ghosting people is weak, I want you to sit with this. Who do you feel safe to lean on? Who feels safe leaning on you? Where do you need to have a discussion about reciprocity? Where do you need to step back so you can stop pouring into cups that have holes in the bottom? Talking to myself there. And where do I need to lean in because the reciprocity is already there and I just haven't been fully present for it? All right, that's the episode. As always, take what's valuable, discard the rest. I hope you have the courage to protect your energy, the wisdom to notice who's truly with you. And something I'm really practicing is the softness to keep showing up in spaces where the reciprocity actually lives. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.